Welcome to Healthy Lifestyle. I'm Lori Anne Casdia. Our goal here at Healthy Lifestyle is to inspire, educate, and empower you to fulfill a healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life so you can feel empowered to live the life you have always wanted and dreamed. Well, we decided today to talk with someone in an industry I believe we are all utilizing profoundly these days. Peter Balsamo from Peter Liam Incorporated is a 15-year wine and spirit industry veteran and host of Raising the Bar TV. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Oh my gosh. So wines and spirits, see where I went there. I know I'm drinking, I usually drink wine every day with dinner or something like that, but I know that I'm drinking a little bit more wine on the weekend. How about you?
It seems to be that everyone throughout this crazy time is finding new means of actually getting it. So there's been an increase of wine orders direct to the home. And not necessarily people are punishing themselves with the type of wines that they are drinking. People are actually indulging in some good juice out there. So it's definitely an interesting time for the wine industry, and I think people are becoming more knowledgeable on products that have become available in the market today. So
and I want
interesting time for the industry.
It definitely is, and I want to dive deeper into wine products and things like that. I figure we'll help out our listener, our body of listeners, in order to help them make better wine choices. But in right now, how did you get into wine? How did you start your career in this industry?
Oh my goodness, I was. This would date back into my senior year of high school. I was a waiter at a restaurant, and on the way to work one day, I saw a new wine shop that opened up in my town, and I said, I'll definitely stop by there, later on in the day. And in high school, we used to go to Borders or Barnes & Noble, and I was always intrigued by the Wine Enthusiast or the Wine Spectator magazines, and seeing the guy sitting on the hood of his Ferrari, with a row of vines behind him. I just thought these characters were interesting. So that one day after school, I decided to walk in there. I had read something about Chenin Blanc in a small article, and I started talking to the man behind the counter about it. And before you knew it, I had a bag full of wine at 17, and it was great because I wasn't getting carded. Of course, I picked up my Jack Daniels from me and my buddies at that time. I was definitely the most popular kid in high school, but I got bit by the wine bug, so to speak, and it's been an interesting journey. I've had basically every job in the industry, whether it was on the supplier end with a liquor company or a winery out on the East End. I worked for 3 different wineries out there, and it's just been it's been my business, it's been my call of passion. So.
Understood. What's your favorite job out of all those jobs that you did?
I would have to say my favorite and most challenging job. They're both the same. I moved out to California about 4 years ago. I decided to open up a wine company based in California, sourcing more natural wines. And I named the label 5. Which symbolized the 5 boroughs where I was coming from.
5 Wine Co., right?
And 5 Wine Co. Yeah. So that's probably been my best job. So it's been about 4 years that we've been working on this project, and we've been putting out great wines. We're about 10,000 cases in so far in 4 short years, and it's only picking up. We're seeing so many more fans and friends that become family. Just indulgent in the products that we're putting out right now. So.
Yeah. And when you think up labels, you said something interesting about how 5 Wine was based on a thought you had about the 5 boroughs. It goes deeper than that. And do typically, and I want you to explain that in a second, but also as the second half of that question, typically when you see wine labels, aren't there stories behind the name of the wine, the region that it comes from?
Oh, absolutely. Every bottle of wine is a story in itself. People tend to be buying with their eyes before their mouth. Of course, you could read a Wine Enthusiast or James Suckling rating, and you get the tasting notes, but you technically are buying with your eyes. Before you even put it into your glass, you're buying the story that's that's put there by the winemaker or by the vineyard or these huge conglomerate liquor companies, which we'll get to, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's verbal and nonverbal too, right? Because I mean, like any marketing, the first is what you see, and that if it's pleasing and it draws you in, then you go to the verbal, which is maybe the story behind it. So tell us the story behind Five Wine, because I love how you envision this and how you came up with the name.
Okay, so I grew up in an Irish-Italian family, Catholic, and on the Italian side, I think there was a lot more beer on the Irish side, but definitely on the Italian side, I remember my grandfather having this huge jug of homemade wine under his chair, and it was a huge jug. And I remember it being so strong, especially at the age of 10, when he would pour a little bit in a jelly glass with dinner. And I just remembered the smoothness and the sweetness, and it was something that I always searched for. With every bottle that I opened up throughout my career. Through my career, I've tried over. We try to calculate this all the time. My fiance and I probably tried over 500,000 bottles of wine from all over the world. Whether I was buying for a liquor shop or a wine club in New York City, or buying for restaurants that I was working at, or doing some barrel tasting. It was just, I was always on the search for something that replicated what I tasted when I was younger. So, there was a little bit of sweetness to it. It was definitely high in alcohol. And I knew when I made the choice with the universe to come out with a wine, it was going to be something in honor of my grandfather who got me into it. So, we started on this venture 4 years ago. We were actually almost part of a huge embezzlement scheme in wine country, believe it or not. It goes on there. But, we sourced a winemaker, to work with us. And we found out that we were part of this embezzlement scheme where I just shot my dreams of, becoming a wine producer, out of the window. So, we ended up in Madera County, which I met Stephen and Cindy Schaefer. Stephen Schaefer is actually California Wine Growers Association Winemaker of the Year a couple of years running. So we told him the profile of the juice that we wanted. We wanted something high alcohol. There was something about the Petite Syrah that gave it a little bit of residual sugar. Since we don't add sugar, we don't add sulfites into our wine. I wanted the profile to get that little bit of sweetness naturally,
right,
without having the additives that a lot of these major wine labels use. They cause headaches, they cause stuffiness. Wine is supposed to be good. There's some great health benefits, especially resveratrol, that is naturally occurring in wine that is just super healthy for you. And there was just so much sugar in all the wines that I was drinking, so I went on the path of just creating a natural wine that tastes really good. Now, you say you use this term.
I think you nailed it as well. You use this term juice. When you say juice, what does that mean to us and the listeners?
Oh boy. So I don't know. I think I picked this up at 21 years old or 22 years old, when everyone in my industry was just referring to wine as juice. I worked at Peconic Bay Winery out on the east end of Long Island. Sure. My son worked there too, who's the som. That's great. So, I was heading metro sales in New York City, and then I was promoted to head of sales for the actual winery. And we just called it juice. And at that point in my life, I was drinking a lot of rosé during the afternoon, and we saw nothing wrong with it, out in Peconic Bay. And I learned a lot from a Frenchman that we had working there, and it was just a different lifestyle. It was really cool. It was really cool. I love the North Fork. Yeah, it's great out there. We have a lot of really good wines on the North Fork and the South Fork, quite frankly. But with that said, it's really cool about wine, and this is something a lot of people don't understand. So, they know that there's $1,000 bottles of wine and $20 bottles of wine, and sometimes there's a difference. And I know from my son tells me all the time, you don't have to get an $80 bottle of wine to have a nice bottle of wine. There are some nuances and differences that definitely distinguish between it, but at the end of the day, if your palate likes it, it's good, right? Absolutely. I'm a firm believer in that. When I was managing a wine shop, in my early 20s in Manhattan. I built this wine club, and we're selling some prestigious, celebrities and politicians, ambassadors, you name it. And they would call me personally because I was making these wine choices for the wine club shipments that were going out. And they'd be like, wow, you have some great wines that you're actually putting in. But basically, I just based on their taste profile of what they like. I would get on the phone with them, figure out what they were looking for. I didn't really care about spending their money for them on what I thought was great, which is what you'll see with a lot of wine clubs and wine stores. They'll sell you what they think is good, and everyone's taste bud is different.
That's why
you can't.
Go ahead, finish.
I'm sorry. Whatever. When people would call me, they would say, "Oh, you know what I really like? I love that $15 Malbec that I had that was organic, and it's just so good." And I would say, how a wine is good, and it's if you like it. And there's nothing more to it for me. And I think that's what makes me different than most people in this industry is, I take the snobbery away from it. Wine is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. And, I don't want to make it too much work.
That's why when you do join a wine, yes, I hear you. When you do join a wine club, and whenever I do, I make sure I join one where I get to select, and then this way I can mix it up. And then sometimes I let them select. But if it's they select all the time, I'm not a real big proponent on that because again, they don't know what my wine tastes are, and they don't discuss it with you. So they just say these 3 bottles, everybody gets the same thing, and that doesn't work for me. But some people it works really well with. So if you like certain things and you want it to be specific and you want to be part of a wine club, you want a wine club who asks those kind of questions, right, Peter, to see what your palate is and what you like and what different foods you eat and what it might pair with and things like that. You do want to have that discussion. I know when you go into really fine restaurants, the sommelier will come over to you and start asking you questions. Well, what do you like? And they start narrowing it down in their head because they know all the wines that they carry in their inventory. It's really pretty cool. And you're the same way, right?
Absolutely. So back to what you were saying, well, when it comes down to a sommelier or, a wine club organizer, somebody organizing all these shipments, they might be on a tangent. They might be on a kick. I go through it myself, whether it's, spending a couple of months, trying new Bordeaux's or getting excited about some wines from down under or in New Zealand or Australia or, getting on a Malbec kick from Argentina or going into Napa Reds. I might be on the search for the best Napa Red, and that's what my palate is tasting, and it's tasting for. And it's very hard to make a choice for somebody else because everyone's palate is different. My palate is totally different from yours, and it's very. How can you make that decision for somebody? You can steer them in the right direction, absolutely. And I think that's what when we invented 5 Wine Company, I think that's what we're shooting for. We wanted to make a palate pleaser, something for everyone. There's so many emails and texts that I get back from people saying, my wife doesn't even like red wine. She only drinks Pinot Grigio, and she loves yours. We just wanted to make a palate-pleasing wine, and that's where we're at now.
And an everyday, right? Yeah, exactly. The 5 wine is an everyday type of a wine because the price point is very attainable. And you have another wine that's going to be coming out, and I'd love to talk about this one because this one's exciting for me. Is Salute Wine Company. The Salute has a really interesting story. What's that story, Peter? Okay,
so my brother-in-law. And I were talking about going into business together. He's a retired veteran, disabled veteran, and we were talking about going into business together. And he was just like, "Well, the wine world, so why don't we come out with something?" And I was just like, "Hey, I have this idea." A couple of days later, I text him back and say, "What about Salute Wine Company?" And he was like, "I love it. Let's go." I'm just like, "Well, there's a lot more to it than that. We have to figure out this juice." "Well, I trust you. You do it." So. We started sourcing juice from my winery in Madera County with Stephen Schaefer again, and we're making these easy drinking wines again, but straight varietals: Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Noir, we're also doing Sauvignon Blanc and a Chardonnay. So it's a line of wine called Salute Wine Company, and we're actually teamed up with Foxhole Command, and Foxhole Command is our first. It's not our last, but it's definitely our first non-for-profit company that we are giving 10% of our proceeds back to build homes for homeless veterans and veterans' families that have lost their loved one due to war. So they actually build modular homes for these homeless people and these people that are less fortunate, because of the price of war. We're actually building these homes. It's going directly into Foxhole Command. So Salute was just basically an ode to everyone that served for us.
The veterans?
And absolutely. There's 17 million veterans that live in America right now, and everyone has a brother, sister, uncle, cousin, or grandfather that served, and everyone knows somebody. So we started as a niche market to obviously do something as an ode for veterans, but it's become more vast. We've understood, and we're not giving 1% back to the rainforest, or 2% back to the sea turtles that get straws caught in their noses. Like we're giving direct money to families that need it, and individuals that need it. Through all my correspondence with my brother-in-law, he says, we come back from, he's been on 3 tours in the Middle East. And
God bless, thank you.
A lot of companies and, the public, they look at veterans as damaged goods when they come back, for what they've seen over there in the Middle East and or wherever they've been on their call of duty. And it's something that I want to put a spotlight on. And I just thought it was cool with, what Matt West is doing with his Black Rifle Coffee Company. And it's exploded overnight. I think my brother-in-law was just like, wow, I want something cool like that. But I think down the line, Matt West is going to want to probably collab with us on something.
Maybe so.
Because it's another kind of commodity. Obviously, coffee and wine, these are commodities. These are traded on Wall Street. So this is it's a fun project. I love
the project because giving back is a really good thing, and giving back to our veterans is over the moon. It always perplexed me when people refer to our veterans as damaged goods. It actually more than perplexes me. It annoys me because as a result of their bravery, their good work, they protected our rights so that we can sit here and have this conversation and have open radio and have all the conversations that we've been allowed to have over the years and they keep our freedom. So they are due to have whatever we can do to help them, and should never be looked upon as damaged goods. They should be looked upon as our heroes. They are true heroes because they do things that I know I don't and I can't, and yet they'll go in there willingly. And even after being injured, if you talk to any of them, I haven't yet met a veteran that says I wouldn't go back tomorrow if they let me. So, I love what you're doing with the Salute. My hat's off to you and your brother-in-law who came up with this idea as well. And when we come back, I want to speak more about too the team of salespeople that they have. But if you all hold on, we're going to continue the conversation that we're having here today with Peter Balsamo from Peter Liam Inc. Peter's our wine and spirit industry veteran and expert. And you are listening to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. We will be right back. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle. I'm Lori Anne. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas you'd like to hear more about, please email us at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. And of course, you can follow us on social media at Healthy Lifestyle with LA. So welcome back. Take some of your juice out, your wine or cranberry or apple or orange juice, while we continue our segment with Peter Balsamo from Peter Liam Incorporated. Peter, we left off that we were talking about the Salute Wine Company that is busting out, and we left off that I really wanted to go into the team that's going to be selling this and getting this wine across the nation. What would that team look like?
Okay, so we currently landed a distribution deal with Sheehan Brothers. Sheehan Brothers is owned and operated by a gentleman by the name of James Sheehan. He has a long history. His family has had a long history in wine and spirits distribution. They were actually the first distributors in Europe of Moet Hennessy and Dom Perignon, which leads back to the 1800s in Europe. And James Sheehan has left Wall Street about 3 years ago to go on this wine journey, and he's going to be our distribution partner right now for Salute Wine Company in New York, New Jersey, California, and Florida. So we just wanted to come out the gate as soon as possible, and we had looked into buying a warehouse ourselves and going down the route of hiring only veterans. So right now, we're in the search for veterans in New York, California, New Jersey, and New York that would like to be brand ambassadors. And I think that's our way of coming out of the gate with this wine as soon as possible, instead of being held back by the bureaucracy of state liquor authority in each state. And we're looking to launch this brand July 4th on Independence Day. So it's very, very, very close.
Yeah, that's right around the corner. This is very exciting. I love that. And the Sheehan brothers, as I understand it, also have this really cool wine. It's called Crystal Cake wine. It's so good. So good.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, we're very excited about this.
Yeah. They launched that. The grapes from that come from Italy, correct?
Okay, so when I started the Crystal Cake project about a year ago with Sheehan Brothers. We launched it not this past Friday, but the Friday before in New York. James Sheehan has a ton of contacts with winemakers and wineries in Italy, and most of his portfolio is from Italy. So he was looking to source Californian juice, as note to his father that passed away a year ago. So we started making the calls, and then we actually took a trip out to the vineyard and the winery together, and we met with the winemaker. We told him the type of profile that we wanted in the bottle, and I helped James put this whole project together that just launched, and it launched 2 weeks ago, and it's probably the easiest selling product that my clients who are retailers out here in New York and New Jersey have ever seen. It's a super attractive label. It's very fun. And we're not just putting out a wine that, it's any juice and we just slap the label on it. We actually put some really good Californian juice in there. We source Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Sauvignon Blanc from California. The Pinot Grigio is coming from the Abruzzo region in Italy, which is 100% organic Pinot Grigio. And it's just delicious. A lot of the Pinot Grigios that you'll see in the bigger format bottles tend to have a lot of additives. They're not true 100% Pinot Grigio either. There's a lot of blending of Chardonnay and other Italian grape varietals. So you're getting a true 100% Pinot Grigio in the Crystal Cake, which has been an astronomical seller the past couple of weeks since we launched. And then our Rosé is coming from Languedoc, which is releasing June 1st. And it's a typical French rosé, Cinsault 50% and 50% Grenache. So without getting to the Provence price point, you're getting an awesome value for for the price with this French rosé, and we're really excited about that. And then we're launching the Malbec come July 1st from an organic winery in Argentina. So there's a lot going on with that brand, especially at a $10.99 price point. You know, you're not buying Super Purple, which is you're not buying concentrate juice with additives and wood chip flavoring and vanilla. No, you're getting good wine for $10.99 that doesn't give you the headache.
True grape taste. And the headaches usually come from all the sulfites and the additives that each winery puts in it to kind of stretch it out a little bit. So that's generally when you get headaches, and or if there's too much sugar in it, that's also something that leads to that. And you can taste it right on your palate, in the back of your throat. It's that aftertaste that you feel. That's when you'll know you're going to not do well with that particular wine the next day. But whether you have a glass or the entire bottle, you know, I'm not being judgmental either way. But you had mentioned a couple things about the different grapes and things like that. I know for a fact that there's 2,000 varietals of grapes in Italy alone. So when you say, you know, the Pinot Grigio and it's pure, it's not blended, you know, I understand blending is when you take a couple of different varietals of grape and you put it together and you get this fantastic, robust flavor. But one could get a really robust flavor from one grape. I'm very partial to Sangiovese grapes, but the Pinot Grigio out of Italy is outstanding grape.
It really is.
Right?
It's a super clean, dry, refreshing wine. It's nothing too complex. And I think that's why it is one of the top-selling grape varietals in America. You know, we're talking about Italian juice. You know, we don't buy too much California Pinot Grigio, but there's plenty of women at home that have tried Santa Margherita and, you know, buy the San Giuseppe and the Santa Marina. And it's a big grape varietal, and it's a huge industry, the Pinot Grigio industry. And we wanted to tap into it. We wanted to use some of James' sources and put out something that we thought was even better. And that I think that's what our pursuit is, and I think that's what my personal pursuit is, to constantly raise the bar. And if I could do that with Pinot Grigio and, you know, California wines, then that's my start.
Love it, love it. Speaking of raising the bar, you have a TV show called Raising the Bar. What's that about? Because you are the host of it.
So I had this wacky idea about a year and a half ago to actually have somebody follow me around and what I do on a daily basis. You know, I get to go to some interesting places, and I get to meet some great characters. There's a lot of characters in this business, the wine industry that we're in, and it's a lot of them. For lack of a better analogy, are the most egocentric people you've ever met in your life, and they want everyone to know their story, and that's why they're making food and they're making wine. And I was just giving them another platform and in a sense a megaphone for them to, you know, broadcast a story, because there's a lot of cool stories that have come across. And Raising the Bar TV started a year and a half ago with an idea that I've had to be followed around, and it was more of a food show with a wine premise to it. And I tried pitching it to my buddy, who I've been friends with since high school, and the owner of Gold House Films. And we decided about a year ago to start filming. So we're about 7 episodes in. We have it on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. We've had, you know, a great response from anyone that's ever seen it, and they want to see more, and the networks want to see more too, which I don't have a problem with. But
yeah.
So it's just we've been having a lot of fun with it. And
I like
we're just getting better. This is. I
like the premise of the of the storylines that you go to, because you pair food and you're trying different specialty dishes in different restaurants and different bars, and trying different products, and really introducing us to a lot of different products that we may or may not have had the pleasure or opportunity to be exposed to, right? Absolutely.
We spent some time down on Mulberry, of course, in Little Italy, which is my home away from home. I'm usually there every Tuesday and Thursday, and there's just some great history there. And, you know, we've had the same chefs at these restaurants for 20 some odd years and 30 some odd years. They have stories. They have stories, and we ventured off into Long Beach Film Festival and to promote the show and get some ideas for our second season. And there was just a lot of even Huskinvine in St. James, New York. It's a local gathering place for everyone in this area, and they need to be highlighted. And I think more people that saw it, they were like, "Oh my God, I never even knew about that place." And I think that's what the premise of the show was. It's just anyone that I saw raising the bar just a little bit. I just wanted to highlight them on the show, and it's only getting better. And we've had more people reaching out to us to be on the show, and there's been some cooler ideas, and we're going to keep going with it. So it's only getting better. The show isn't going anywhere. So, we're really excited about it.
I like that you're raising the bar on that, but you're also elevating the industry and you're elevating people's awareness. And it's all about, getting it out there and sharing what you love with everybody else. And you really do have a very refined palate, and you take it so the average bear could benefit from the palate that you have. And having that refined palate is something that, for me, wine is good. I like it, or bad. I don't like it. Whereas like yourself and my son, who, as I said, Nicholas is a second level sommelier, you guys can really taste all the different notes and things like that. On a good day, I taste the notes. It depends on what the wine is. But sometimes I can't recognize it. It seems familiar. It tastes good. There's a taste that I think I know what it is, but I can't define it. Whereas you guys can define it. You're like, well, that tastes like, old leather. He's like, well, when was the last time you tasted that? But it's the smell that you get from the old leather that gives you that taste. So smell and taste is combined. Those two senses really work off of each other, don't you think?
Well, what you were saying with wine is a story, I believe that at a young age, being broke in Manhattan, running a wine shop, I got to travel the world and get all these stories through taste, through smell. And I think that's what was just so enthralling about it, that I was able to travel to France. I was able to travel to Argentina and to even Romanian wines I got into for a little bit, and Croatian wines. It was just so fascinating to me. And of course, back to the story, I want to know about the dog at the winery. I want to know about what kind of season they've had, and it's all depicted in the juice. They say man makes beer, God makes wine. So the winemaker has very, very little to do with the process of what gets into the bottle. It's for the most part natural occurrence, and it's poetry. It's bottled poetry.
Yeah, it definitely is. I love that bottled poetry. But it definitely is a science, and it's an art form to be able to have the palate, to be able to combine those different grapes or combine the right timing to make sure that wine stops where it's supposed to, so that you maintain the consistency of the taste, right?
Mm-hmm. And back to what you said about life, wine is a living food. It's a living food. If you leave a bottle of wine open for a couple of days on your counter, it's not going to taste the same as when you first opened it. Or say if it was exposed to high heat or high temperatures, it's going to spoil the wine. And you don't know how many times throughout the years people have just, at the local restaurant or a restaurant in the city, I was poured bad wine. But I know it, and some people will keep drinking it, and they're drinking soil juice. It's bad. It's past its expiration. So to know it, I think was just my pursuit, just to find the next best wine and to know everything about it. And the great thing about the business and the industry that I'm in is I learn something new every single day. Just when I thought I knew it all, after 15 years, something will totally blow my mind. Like, oh, that's how they do it. Or, oh, I didn't know he was related to this person, this winemaker. And it's just a really cool industry. It really is.
It's very interlaced as well. And, I have
wine world.
Yeah. There's some, vineyards in Italy that I absolutely adore, and there's a specific vineyard in Temecula called WINING that I love every single one of their wines, and it's very rare for me to be able to say that. Generally, it's like, well, I like this one and that one, but I don't like all of them. I like every wine that they put out. Like one has a different flavor; it's better with fish, and another wine is really good with the meat, and then they have champagnes, and well, they have sparkling wines where you can't call them champagnes because they are not from the region of Champagne. But, it's things like that it's exciting, isn't it? Because you were in WINING, and not WINING, but yeah, you were there too. But you were in Temecula for a while, right?
I was in Temecula for 2 years on a whim back in, I can't even think of the year. I want to say 2016, early 2016. In January, I decided to move out to California, and I booked my flight on a Thursday, and I was out there on a Tuesday with a duffel bag, no job, and an envelope full of cash, just trying to figure out if I can make it out there in California. So I decided to settle in Oceanside. I basically pointed my finger at a map, and I ended up in Southern California, and it was just heaven on earth. It was like the bee's knees. I wasn't used to it. I was like, why are people so nice?
Did you just say the bee's knees? How old are you? Are you 90? That is so funny.
It was actually a term I picked up in Oceanside, Carlsbad area when I was living there. So 6 months into this California episode of mine, being out there, I started running out of money, and obviously I was getting bored, not working. In my late 20s, I decided to move into Temecula, and I was heading a farm-to-table restaurant out there in Temecula. And if you've never been to Temecula, it is absolutely beautiful.
Gorgeous.
I've never even heard of Temecula until I moved out to California, and it's a wine region, a wine terroir in Southern California that resembles Italy. There's like these rolling hills. I think it's more picturesque than Napa. It's unbelievable, and there's especially for you, there's tons of great Sangiovese down there, and just interesting, warmer climate varietals. Just so cool to be a part of that wine region, and hosting myself all of these winemaker dinners with a lot of the wineries there, including WINING, and huge fan of WINING, and I couldn't agree more with you there.
Yeah, they're magical. Doug and Deb do a really good job over there, and it's just, you have everything from full body to light, and oh my gosh, it's just so wonderful. That's why I really enjoy the industry a lot, and I know my son and you have really made me very informed about it to make me love it as well, even more, because the more you know about it, the more you start to reach out to try to learn additional things. And that's something that your show does. Your Raising the Bar TV helps inform people, helps educate them so that they know more about wine and some of the foods and places to go. And it's really nice. It's also nicely shot, by the way. I really like the cinematography value of it.
Thank you.
It's real good. So what's so let me ask you something in our last few minutes is, what's your why? Why do you do what you do, Peter?
Oh man, that's a really good question. And I think I keep doing what I'm doing because I'm already too far in.
What does that mean?
There's been some days where, I live on Long Island. I reside on Long Island with my family now. And, there's been some 3.5 hour commutes back from Manhattan for meeting sommeliers and wine buyers. It's just like, why am I doing this? And the guy was a half hour late. And, doesn't he know how passionate I was about this meeting and talking to him about these wines that I prepared for them and that I schlepped around for him. And there's days that, some mishaps happen, but that's any industry. And I wouldn't change what I do for anything.
Yeah,
for anything.
You're blessed.
I'm way too far in. I've been doing it 15 years, and it's the only thing I know how to do. And I get such joy out of people and their responses to wines that I put out into market and wines that I market myself for other companies. And it's just so much fun. There's nothing more to life than me than food and wine, and people have been drinking wine for as long as they've been eating food. And, that's all there is for me.
I love it. And I'm going to give an assignment to our listeners. I want you to go try. If you like wine, you want to try wine, go out, pick a bottle that resonates with you, the look resonates with you, and give it a try. And then find something that you like. You might want to try the Five Wine Co. wine. It's called Five Wine. Salute Wine when it comes out on July 4th. You got Crystal Cake that's out there, and definitely catch Peter Balsamo on Raising the Bar TV. I want to thank you all for joining us today on Healthy Lifestyle. Thank you so much, Peter, for joining us today. I loved our conversation. My heart is always lifted by sharing this time with you guys. You know that. And I really thank you for being here week after week and supporting me and the show the way you do. I want to thank Michael, our producer, who is always there for us no matter what. We are here definitely to serve one another. So take a moment, step out of your day and do a little something for someone else. Make sure you keep your social distance, but try to do that. And remember, it takes 21 days to build a habit, 90 days to build a lifestyle, so start with a new one. Thank you again for joining us on Healthy Lifestyle. I'm Lori Anne Casdia. Please stay healthy and safe, practice good social distancing, and I will look for you the next time. Play a higher role, serve a higher purpose, show up for you, and show up big.